So we have some viewers are interested in making a version of this, or where can they get drawings so they can at least get started if they wanted to go in this direction?
Okay, the first thing is that and I made it clear in the material that I've written on the engine that it's not a good design to be replicated. I mentioned the problem of heavy reciprocating parts, big loads on the linkages, and I spent most of my time trying to strengthen the bell crank and displacer drive particularly.
But where can they get the drawings?
And so the point is, it would be a mistake to try to make it again. However, the most detailed drawings for the engine were published in a second interim report that we put out in probably 84, 85. And those drawings have been copied and included in this book, which includes all of the drawings in the appendix. However, the same drawings, actually the drawings that these were drawn from, are in this second interim report. And very nicely, the USAID, or somebody, has posted that report on the internet, and we'll give a link to that. So if you go to that link, you'll get the entire second interim report, which was on the second engine that we made, which is the basis of the material that I've put out since then. So that information is all there. I think you can just pick it up from the internet then, the drawings and everything. But don't try to make the engine. It's a good idea in terms of seeing I might say that the heater, cooler, that design was quite good. And so in other words, we were able to get the power out of it, but we just didn't have the mechanical strength that we needed out of the linkages. So, I mean, it's a good guide as to, what something like that would look like. But we had a workshop with big machine tools, a big radial arm drill, 3 lathes, one of them quite big, and it required that kind of equipment to just do the machining and things for the parts of this, but you could always scale it down. But I wouldn't go with the linkage system.
Okay, thank you. Next question is, this video was taken in Oroville in 2001. It's now 2016. Do we know if this engine is still at Oroville? Is it still running?
The engine is still there. I was there about a year ago. At that time, it wasn't running. I think the engine was okay, but the furnace had been rebuilt. And in the meantime, they've gotten, I think, some solar power, so that they're able to do the grinding of their I mean, the main thing that the engine was used for was to prepare grinding the grain and the rice and the dal for making millet flour, and a wet grinder for making the mix that's used in making dosa and idli, a favorite South Indian dish. And they have some alternative way of doing that, so the need for that engine for doing that work is not so much now. But I know I was there, the engine was there, and the old furnace, I think, had sort of deteriorated to the point where it needed to be redone. So whether it's working right now or not, I'm not 100% sure.
What's the volume and the RPM of the engine?
The volume is about 7 liters. It's 300 millimeters, and I mean, the piston has a diameter 300 millimeters and stroke of 100 millimeters, so that comes out to be a little over 7 liters. Displacement, RPM. The RPM, we tried not to run it more than about 600. One of the problems with the engine is that there's a lot of massive reciprocating parts and not easy to balance, so that it shakes a lot. And in fact, we had to make really massive foundations with steel set into concrete so that the engine wouldn't shake. So when we ran it and we get the temperature, we could run it more than 600 RPM. And at one point, I think it even went up to almost 800 RPM, which of course from an efficiency point of view would be good. But it was shaking so much, and it puts a lot of force on the linkages. And one of the weaknesses of the design that we were working with was that the linkages were not strong enough. So if you went up to that speed, it would take no time at all to break the connecting rod to the displacer or something like that. So anyway, so we ran it 600 or less RPM.